Wednesday, July 3rd, 2013. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, those quiet badasses.
Let's do this.
Well, I guess they're not all quiet, but they're all badasses. But I got another biking story.
Great.
I guess Geeknights has we don't have the opening bit anymore. We just have the so I was biking home from work bit.
Hey, you know what my bit is? I wasn't able to bike pretty much fucking all week with this rain.
I biked to work almost every day because I'm not a pansy.
I had, the different nights I had stuff to do. Different night, just the rain was not on my schedule.
Yeah, well, I got to admit, I biked to work this morning, but it just started to rain like right as I got to the office. And then it was fine when I left.
I used an umbrella to walk to the subway.
Yeah, I'm biking over the Pulaski, coming home, doing my thing, and there's this big dude who's kind of chubby and kind of angry looking, just kind of walking forward, blocking the whole bike path, the whole pedestrian way, so I can't get around him. He's walking super slow right in the middle. So I'm like, excuse me? I'm real polite, and he doesn't respond, so I ding my bell. He turns around, it's like, slow the fuck down, fucking biker. He gets really mad at me. So I scoot around him and I start to bike away, and he starts chasing, like, come back here, you. And I flipped him off, and I heard him, and then I heard him yell even more, and he got so mad.
That's
and
right.
I just biked away because chubby, angry guy's not going to do much.
What's he gonna do?
I guess he would try to hit me if he got close enough to me.
Listen, if he can chase me down while I'm riding my bike,
Then he deserves it.
my hat is off to you, good sir. On foot. And I friggin' I'll race fucking Usain Bolt on my bike. Shit.
I did as a kid. Someone stole my bike. I was in like middle school.
Usain Bolt's on foot, by the way.
Yeah. I was in middle school, and I parked my bike, and I walked over to fuck around with this tree fort, and this bully kid, I hear a noise, and I look, and he's standing next to my bike, and he's getting on it and gonna ride off with it. I don't think he realized I was right there up in the tree watching him. So I jump down, and I start chasing, and he sees me and tries to bike away. Doesn't know how gears work.
Nope.
So I ran up behind him, and I grabbed his shirt, and I pulled on it, and it didn't pull him over, but it ripped his shirt basically off and ruined it. And then he turns around like he's going to fight with me, and he gets off the bike. And, bully kids tend to be big and slow. So I ran around him, got on the bike, and then I just biked away. And I left him there with his broken shirt. There's nothing else happened there. That was the story.
I think if someone's on a bike running away, what you want to do is run up and give them a good old check. Like nice shoulder ram right in the side. Boom!
I'm pretty sure I could chase down most people who weren't good bikers if they tried to get away from me on a bike. My bike or someone else's bike.
If they pick up the bike and it's in high gear, they don't know how to shift down.
That's actually because sometimes I'll leave my bike outside of the store because I'm going to go in and get some ice cream and then come right back out. I can see it in the window. I just put it in the highest gear because the majority of bike thieves would not be able to get away in time.
Yeah, it's like, unless they toss it in the back of a truck, they're going to get on and go, and I'm going to see them and easily be able to catch up and slam right into the street. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So I was going to link to this on the Anime News Network, but their DNS stopped working literally as we started to do Geek Night, so I can't actually visit their link.
Well, their loss is their loss.
However, the site I found is pretty cool. It's all Sailor Moon-y. So the person who created Sailor Moon, Naoko Takeuchi, hasn't done an interview in over a decade.
Have they done anything besides make Sailor Moon?
I don't actually know. Sailor Moon is the only thing of hers that I know about.
It's the manga creator, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't really know anything about her other
But are
than
you the
Sailor
Moon fucking expert?
No, I just happen to have seen all of Sailor Moon. If you have seen all of anything, you can speak to it. You can probably say things that make you sound like an expert about Hokuto no Ken to someone who's never seen it. But regardless,
Muso Tensei.
I learned from Wikipedia that she's a licensed pharmacist, and her senior thesis had the title Heightened Effects of Thrombolytic Actions Due to Ultrasound.
Okay.
Anyway, she has not done an interview in 11 years.
But she's still been making manga?
She's made some stuff. Doesn't look like much of it's that recent. There's something called Toki Mecha from 2006.
Is she just raking in Sailor Moon money
And I
and
assume
pharmacy
so.
money and not working?
In 2002, she did Love Witch. Story of a girl receives a perfume bottle and becomes a witch, but it carries a heavy price.
Sounds fancy Lala-ish to me.
Yeah. Discontinued after 3 chapters with no explanation.
Oh, because it wasn't because it was bad? It was
Has
just...
yet to be reprinted in any form.
Okay. That's probably, let's find it on the internet.
Yeah, I kind of want to read that now. But one, you should check this interview out because Sailor Moon, like it or not, seen it or not, is a pretty important anime in terms of the history of anime.
That's true.
And two, if you've seen the anime, especially if you've just seen what was on American TV, you've never read the manga, go find some of the Sailor Moon manga and just read a little bit of it. Just check that out.
Lol.
It's more like Green Lantern than you would expect. And it mostly involves space drama.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all I got here. I would say more, but again, the Anime News Network's DNS stopped working.
Oh, but the news is that she gave an interview for the first...
The news is that she gave an interview, the first one in supposedly 11 years.
What does it say in that interview?
I don't know. I can't read the whole thing.
Okay. How about
I got to search around for another site that has the interview.
Okay, so in real news, it's more important. I buy a lot of comic books every month, and it's pretty great because I get a huge discount because pre-ordering. But it's pretty sucky because my house fills up with comic books. I would much rather have digital comic books. However, there are problems with digital comic books. Unlike other forms of art and mediums, such as anime or JPEGs or whatnot, comics do not translate perfectly to digitalness.
No,
right?
they don't.
They do not.
Someday we'll
a
have
lot
that
of these
technology.
comic readers got like zoom in on a panel. It's like, nope. Or the ones it's like, oh, 1 page at a time. It's like 2-page spread. What?
I know what the perfect interface is. It's trivial. I know
Magic,
exactly
magic
what the
paper.
no, not magic paper.
Hologram.
No, you overlay glasses, and it just holds a perfect comic book in front of your face.
Yep, sure. But anyway, the main reason I don't buy digital comics is because, the only ones that are really like pirated, you can go online and there's torrents fucking every week. Like every DC comic that came out this week, every Marvel comic that came out this week. But I don't want to read that shit, right?
Yeah.
I want to read all this other weird stuff that doesn't really get torrented, pirated as much. It's not as easy to find because, no one's really buying it. Like, who's buying and scanning, for example, complete Prince Valiant hardcovers that are gigantic? Nobody, all right? So I had to buy it. But...
So you only buy stuff because you can't pirate it.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Anyway,
saying.
if it was digital and a reasonable price, I would pay for it, like Steam. Anyway, so there are digital comics, and most of them are on Comixology and such, but I don't like that shit because DRM. Same reason I don't buy no Kindle books, right? DRMs. Don't tell me Steam has DRMs. Steam is $1, right? Comixology, they're charging you the same price as the physical comics. Go fuck your mother. Even if there's no DRM, I'm not paying that price for a digital comic. Go to hell. However,
wow, $70 is the cheapest I can find one of the Prince Valiants.
Yeah, this is why I pre-order comics at a discount. I bought it at 35% off retail, and I have all of them so far. So take that.
Oh, here's some guy's selling for 128 that hasn't been opened or read yet.
Mine's been opened and read.
Anyway,
so there are sites that do DRM-free digital comics, right? Where you just get PDFs and such. Like I think it's like mydigitalcomics.com, right? But nobody really goes to those sites because they really only have, sort of more obscure indie comics from publishers no one really cares about. Like, there's indie comics that are the ones that are like, they're hot indie comics, like maybe from a publisher like Top Shelf or Fantagraphics. And then there's those indie comics that's like, oh, it's just that generic stuff that fills the shelves of the comic book store, like vampire something or zombie and girl with boobs and guns or shit like that, right? That's the kind of stuff you're going to find on mydigitalcomics.com. Well, big news. Image Comics redid their website to be less sucky because, comic publishers usually don't have good websites. And part of that is they put DRM-free comics for sale directly on their website. In PDF, EPUB, CBR, or CBZ. So any format you want.
not bad.
Problem? Pricing. Still not so good.
How bad?
Well, it's not as bad, really. It's pretty much like old comics are like $1 each, and brand new ones are the same price as the print. So still not buying it. But that's a major publisher. Image is number 3. And in fact, I see myself on my order forms ordering more Image comics. I mean, fucking Saga, right? That's fucking Image.
Oh my God, I need to read the next trade of Saga.
I read it.
I have not yet.
I own it.
I need to borrow that.
Oh, it lives up to the hype.
Of course it does.
It's no joke.
Look, I can see in my Twitter feed as the issues come out, because it's good enough to where a lot of people I know who otherwise are trades only end up getting issues anyway.
Well, you can pay for these digital issues every freaking month.
No, I'm just going to read the trades that you buy. See, I don't pirate anything. I just borrow your comics.
That's a good deal.
Scott's Library is open for business.
Sure. But yeah.
That Sailor Moon interview did not happen yet.
Oh.
It will be available on August 1st.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did the interview happen? It's just not published, or the interview didn't happen?
It's going to be published in a women's fashion magazine, Rolla.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe she's working on some Sailor Moon fashions. So yeah, Image is now making DRM-free comics. So if you're into the digital comics, like I'm not, and you're willing to pay the cover price, or slightly less than cover price for old stuff, then you don't want to pirate. Because Image Comics is probably easily piratable. You can go to Image Comics' official website and buy DRM-free comics. This is a big deal. Hopefully, like, the whole comics industry can sort of do stuff like this and really put the pressure on Marvel and DC to get in line.
Because if the prices don't change, just as long as it's all available digital for at least no more than the physical copy, I think that'll cause a big seismic shift culturally.
Yeah. I think really what they need to do is, it's good to sell it on their website. Obviously, that's good for them because they get all the money from sales, right? But what they should also do is, if it's DRM free, it's like also sell it on Amazon, also sell it on Apple, also
Well, here's
sell
the trouble.
Basically,
it is
you should
bad
be able to
for the business model where they have, instead of having 4,000 people reading a comic, they have 1,000 people who buy each of the 4 alternate covers. So it'll actually cut down on their. I mean, if there's digital copies, the nerds
But they
who collect
save money
won't buy those.
on not paying to print the paper, even though that isn't the significant cost. The significant cost is paying artists to make the comics, right?
So what they
It
should
still
do
save some money.
is sell it digitally for price X, and then only print like 500 copies or 100 copies of each alternate cover and sell those for like 40
They already
bucks.
do that. Here's what they should do.
Yeah, so double down on that.
Here's what they should do. Image Comics should just be like, look, you pay us $25 a month or $100 a year or some price like that. The kind of prices that make you go, ooh, right? With the small annual fee like Flickr, or the small monthly fee like Spotify or something. And you just freaking get every Image comic no matter what. And they just had to make enough Image comics that are good enough to get you to do that.
There is a trouble with that model that, from everything I've read, Spotify basically pays out rounding down to 0 to pretty much everyone.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit before we get off, even though it's a tangent.
I mean, they were getting back into an issue that has not had new discussions since 1994.
Right, it is true. But there was one point someone made recently that I did not think of, right? And they were talking about how Pandora basically pays almost... some guy, I think he was a songwriter, was like, I basically get nothing when my song is played on Pandora, but it's a huge hit. It's been played millions of times, and I got almost nothing.
I'm curious if you're going to say what I was about to say.
Probably. But basically, number one is that Pandora actually paid out a lot more than what he got. All these other people took a cut, right? The record company, the other people who played the music, et cetera, right? But the real reason is that he didn't get as much money as, say, a play on the radio, is that these people were comparing the one radio play to the one Spotify play, or the one Pandora play. It's like one Pandora play is heard by one person. One radio play is heard by more than one person.
One radio play is heard by one old person.
I know, I'm just saying, theoretically, more than one person hears the one radio play. So a one radio play is worth multiple times as much money as a Spotify play, which is one person playing the song one time, which really has almost no value. If you consider that paying $1 to iTunes for a song is infinite plays of a song, what does one play of the song cost? Almost nothing, right? Even at the $1 overpriced iTunes price. So they're actually getting pretty good money from a Spotify iTunes. So what is one read of a comic worth to what, right? Not much, Definitely not $4 that they charge at the comic book store, that's for sure. $1 at most.
Yeah, but at the same time, it depends. The more niche your comic is, the fewer people are interested in it, but it doesn't really get cheaper to make it.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, I'm
the
just
world
saying.
we live in. Deal
I'm
with
just
it.
saying.
Deal with
and
it.
this is the hand we're given. Because some Genesis
I think
up-ins.
Image could also these comic companies could also do much better to drop a lot of the shitty fucking comics. Like, what good comics does Image have? Walking Dead and Chew and Saga. What else they got? Right? It's like, why are you even publishing all that garbage? It's like, yeah, give new stuff a shot, but if it doesn't work, it's like, yeah, you got 5 issues, then you're out of here. If it's not as big as Mouse Guard, fuck it.
But anyway, things of the day. So, Collectivet appears to be a Norwegian comedy group.
Okay.
And they do funny songs and other things. And Emily found this for me. They have this funny song, it's in English, where they go through the idea that bigger is better and size matters. So the United States...
Making fun of the big fat U.S.
So the United States wins at everything. We have the biggest amusement parks, the biggest people, a.k.a. they're fat. They're like,
biggest
you're
cars,
so fat, you're so big, you're dying of it. We can't compete with that.
biggest hats.
But they point out the one area where Norway wins. They have a bigger alphabet than we do.
Yeah, they got
because they've got the I-O.
Yep.
The AE that are stuck together, the O with the line through it, and the A with a funny little circle on top.
They don't have anything with 2 dots on it?
Well, those are accents as opposed to letters.
Okay.
There's a difference between a letter that has an accent like an E with an accent aigu, or accent circumflex, or accent grave, or a CCD, and an actually different letter, even though that is an entirely arbitrary distinction. Their alphabet has in it.
Where do they put the Is it A,
I'm going to find out right now. Google Images.
Like, how do they sing the alphabet song?
I'm going to find out. Norway.
While you do that, I'm going to do my thing of the day. So, when I was a baby, as in 0, in the womb of my mom.
In Queens.
She would be sitting around, all pregnant and shit, and what would she do?
Play the Atari 2600?
With what game? What was my mom's favorite game?
Super Breakout.
Super Breakout was my mom's game. She still loves that fucking game.
You know, it's funny because my mom has the same story. Maybe that's why
But your mom
Geeknights
didn't play
happened.
Super Breakout. She played other games.
She played regular Breakout. She liked it more and a bunch of other games. But did your mom do the same thing when my mom was super pregnant? It was hard to like lean over and hit the reset button. So she liked the 2600 because she could reach over with her toe and tap the reset button.
I don't know. Ask her.
Ask
anyway,
her.
she played on a tiny black and white TV. But anyway, Super Breakout. So I played Super Breakout since before I was born. That's how good I am. So you think I've seen pretty much every Breakout there's been for as long as Breakouts existed. There has not been a Breakout that has escaped me. Here is one that was totally new and amazing. This is Brick Smash, whatever. By
Yo, dog.
Alan Hazelden, creator of this. My hat is off to you. It's a tiny flash game, and basically you play Breakout, and in each of the bricks and the Breakout, there is another game of Breakout. It is Brickception.
Yo, dog.
It's incredible. Yo, dog, Breakout. You have to play this. I won on my first try. Rim did, and I'm better than Rim.
Okay, so if you look for the Norwegian alphabet song, you just keep finding this comedy video that I'm linking to. But their alphabet, A-O, are in order at the end.
Oh, so it's just Z,
A-O.
Okay.
So they just added them at the end there. They also have accents. They have an accent aigu, the up line, the down line, the hat. That's it.
Do they have the 2 dots?
No.
Fuck
They
that.
do not have the 2 dots.
You gotta have the 2 dots.
Why? What good are the 2 dots? Do you even know what the 2 dots do?
Ugh.
So, in the meta moment, the book club book is Stasi-Land, true narrative stories of the bullshit people went through living in East Germany under the Stasi during the Cold War. It's kind of relevant, what with all the NSA stuff going on.
The next book club book is going to be Gideon's Bible.
Then the next book club book is going to be Ulysses or Norwich's History of the Byzantine Empire.
And the one after that will be Dead Sea Scrolls.
Dead Sea Scrolls.
The real edition.
I'm going with Webster's.
Okay.
No, the OED because it's longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The complete works of Dostoevsky in Russian.
So yeah, the first story, once it gets past kind of the intro, is pretty good, and it's about this 16-year-old girl who actually tried to go over the wall
Nice.
because she got arrested and held in solitary confinement and was tortured.
How was that barbed wire?
She got over the barbed wire okay.
Nice.
She got past the dogs, too.
Nice.
And the Stasi, it's interesting because people have this impression in the West that the Stasi were this like almost Nazi-esque level of control. And that's kind of true. But at the same time, a lot of what they would do was so utterly and patently ridiculous, but yet they would do it seriously and with a straight face. It's a weird part of world history that I don't think enough people know about. And the more I'm reading this book, the weirder it is.
Yet another group that had really great fashion sense that you can't use anymore.
The Nazis.
And the Stasi.
And the
They had
Stasi,
those
too.
awesome leather coats with the...
I know, there's something about that sharp look. Why can't we have scientific fascism?
What do you mean?
I don't know. All the trappings of fascism, but with the goal of making awesome science and making everything great for everyone.
So we can wear evil-looking coats, but have no swastikas or anything on them. So
Yeah,
people know that we're good. We
got
just
the
really
skulls
like.
anyway.
We just respect good fashion. We should and then we're gonna call ourselves the Grand Dragons and be like, look, we fucking hate the KKK, those assholes, but they took all the good names. We're gonna be no, it doesn't work. We can't take it back. The fashion and the names, I've let them go long ago. I just like to complain about it every once in a while, but
Yep.
I've given up. There is no way to take those awesome fashions or awesome names back
Yep.
without bringing also the evil.
I mean, even the Charlie Chaplin mustache has been destroyed by all this.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Other metas.
Kineticon.
Is like fucking tomorrow? No.
Next goddamn
Might
weekend.
as well be.
I will
Yeah.
post the schedule of the panels that we are running ourselves.
I don't even know what those are.
I gotta go look them up because I forget.
Great.
Yeah, Kineticon is going to be awesome. And then Scott and I are immediately flying to Australia to present Beyond Dungeons and Dragons in the Wombat Theatre at 1 p.m. on Friday in Melbourne, Australia.
Just if you want to pronounce Melbourne correctly,
Just Melbourne.
Imagine it's
Melbourne.
MELBIN.
Melbourne. Melbourne.
Forget that R. Forget the OU.
Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne. Anyway.
Yeah. We got to plan the rest of this trip.
Yeah, it's fine.
So far, I have not planned beyond Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay. If we just get there and ask natives, like, what's the awesomest thing? We'll
Yeah.
end up doing the good stuff.
I want to plan ahead a little bit. I kind of want to do those go-karts. I got to trick someone in Melbourne
To organizing it.
to organize it.
But
so
we need
can just
enough
show up.
other people to do it. We can't just make it happen on our own.
We could do it Sunday after PAX. I think we could get enough people from PAX.
Maybe.
Our first PAX in the U.S., we trivially formed what can only be described as a mob by snapping our fingers and saying, "Moon plays some burning wheel."
Yeah,
I
but
think
these
we
people
could
have
be
to be signed up in advance and shit. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Any other meta moments? You should, while we're away and we're not going to be making a lot of stuff for you, pretty much the rest of July after next week or so is going to be like nothing in terms of Geeknights. So you're going to want to go to our YouTubes and other such and follow us on the internet and the Twitters and all those places because that's the only place is going to be content because that's the only place we can post things while we're on the go. Like Lord of the Rings on the go. So you're going to watch our Flickr, see some photos from Australia and Kineticon and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you follow Geeknights and me and Rim at all the internet places, the Google Pluses, the Facebooks.
And not only that, you want us to
The
do
YouTubes.
Geek Nights Presents Utena faster? You want us to ever make another Radio Free Equestria? You want the 5 other lectures from Anime Boston re-recorded? I'm taking my sweet ass time unless you guys do what you did with our judge anime by its cover and get the views up. Mm-hmm. If you get like 3 or 4
But they
more
did
of our
get the
videos,
views up, so now you have to do another one.
yeah, get more views up. The more views up. Look, they put the views up, and what happened? I almost immediately released another Geek Nights Presents. In fact, I ordered new lights that we're going to use right after PAX Us.
All right, so meta moments over. It is time for the episode.
So we realized we were talking about anime, and we kind of there's a certain kind of character that everybody loves, and whenever there's a show that has a character like that, it's always the like unstated, obviously the best character.
Yep.
But in this particular way, it's the Hughes in the Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, usually this character is usually a dude, but not always. Usually old, but not always.
Well, I think already there's a distinct separation of 2 kinds of the anime badass. Kind number 1 the old master, the old invincible
the
master.
sensei, right? It's like the main character, is leveling up in an anime, getting more powerful, right? But how can the main character learn anything if they're the most powerful? There is someone who is so ridiculously powerful but doesn't use it. Just like in that Simpsons episode, the guy in the white suit who stands still and doesn't do anything.
Oh, I missed
when
it.
he does something, holy crap, it's going to be the best, right? For example, in Kill Bill 2, Pai Mei is the badass, right? He's so much stronger than everyone else, but he just sort of chills out and doesn't use his full power. That's the guy. In Initial D, crazy Bunta, right? He's not in the races. You just know he could win every race with like his eyes closed because he's that much better, but he just stays in the sidelines and watches.
Yep. Now, these guys, we were trying to think of all the examples of that kind of guy, and they're all really, really similar, at least in a superficial 2-minute conversation. Because the first people we thought of, let's see, there's Bunta.
Yep.
There's Aramaki in Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Who's, especially now we're going to see him younger with brown hair.
Whoa.
Like it's not fully clowned out yet.
Whoa.
Not Wile'd all the way. There's Fujisawa sensei in El Hazard.
Yep.
And notice how they all will often have sort of a smoking or drinking or some sort of like thing that's up with them. Like they're not 100% the best people, or they have some sort of flaw or past that's dark, but that's not the story.
Yeah, who's the guy in Naruto who's always reading, the teacher who's reading the porn magazines all the time? I always forget his name.
I forget his name too because Naruto stopped being good after 3.5 episodes.
Let me look at list of Naruto characters on the internet.
Plus, I don't think he is the invincible sensei anymore, but he did serve that purpose in that part of the show, though he was too young to hold it off in the long run.
I think it's Kakashi.
Yep, that's definitely him. Wow, all the young anime fans listening to Geeknights are like,
Yep, that's him.
how do you not know? Naruto,
Right?
Naruto.
In One Piece, it's Red Shanks, right? Red Shanks, the guy you
Yep.
hardly ever see. Yep.
Because in the beginning, he's the badass, loses his arm.
Yep.
Spoilers. But then there's the other kind of badass, the young, not invincible guy who is the badass and seems to often get killed in
Yeah.
a pivotal plot point because they're not the main character. They're not a villain, but they're the badass that makes the impossible possible. The Flaga, the Hughes, the Fokker.
Yeah.
In fact, I think all three of them serve basically the same purpose in their three respective shows.
But even those guys are sort of like incredibly powerful, older than main character, sensei-ish, mentor figures, right? They just sort of, are more active than, say, a Bunta on the sidelines.
Well, I think with them, it's really that they're the characters that the show starts and they're already way leveled up. And almost no one else around them is. They're the only ones who can pull shit off. They're the only competent ones. They're the only cool ones. And they're not on screen that often. I think that's the key. They're it's the same thing with King Kazma.
Exactly,
in Summer Wars.
exactly.
It's the character where people watch a show and they think back and it's like, who's your favorite character? With 90% of people like King Kazma,
Yeah, duh.
Flaga,
Yeah.
Hughes.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's someone that, is showing you what the future can be like, right? Like you play Mega Man X, and at the beginning of Mega Man X, it's just like the Sequelitis video. Mega Man X is kind of weak ass. He just woke up from his friggin' stasis, whatever. But you know what? Zero's out there. Total badass, already leveled up. And then it's eventually you get the main guy, Mega Man X, eventually is better than Zero, but not right away. It's showing you the future, right? It's like, oh yeah, Flaga at the beginning is, the competent pilot. And you know what? These kids are just some fucking kids at the beginning of Gundam Seed. At the end of Gundam Seed, those kids are now the really powerful people. And Flaga is still pretty good. But basically, they leveled up to his level. But he was so high level, he really only gained like one level over the show because he needs so much XP to get one more.
I don't think anyone ever gets better than Bunta.
I don't think ever, no. I haven't read enough Initial D, but I don't think so. I think Bunta pretty much stays at the most powerful.
So why do we like these characters? Why do they stand out so much to us in particular? I don't know if it's universal that other people think about this or are obsessed with these characters. It might just be us. I mean, when normal people talk about Ghost in the Shell, they're like, oh, the Major, the best, or Bato, hey. But we're just always Aramaki. Is it because we're getting old?
Well, I don't dislike those other characters. In fact, I think I like Togusa the most in Ghost in the Shell. But Aramaki is still the baddest ass. Togusa is not exactly a badass. He's just sort of, cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, why do we like these badass characters? Well, I think it's because number one, right? These characters are super powerful, but they're not super powerful in like an evil boss kind of way, or we're just going to make the show boring and use my superpowers to end the conflicts kind of way, right? Is they're super powerful in sort of a funny way. And it sort of creates this contrast of, like you want to see them in action so bad, like this hidden mystery power.
Well, like Fujisawa when he learns his
don't
kick
use it. Yep.
and his punch, and he's such a badass, but he's also such a moron at times, but he's not a complete moron. But yet this is distinct from Captain Tyler, let's say, where he is the plot. He is the main character. It always feels like cheating where your favorite character is the main character. I mean, if your favorite character in Hokuto no Ken is Kenshiro, that feels really obvious or cheap.
Yep.
It's okay to and I think there's a lot of anime fans, because I know a bunch of people we knew at RIT would do this. They kind of like the obscure character that no one else likes.
Well, I think the thing is in animes in particular, and a lot of stories, main characters have to be appealing to everybody, to a wide audience. So they're very generic. They're not, the kind of thing that would appeal to only one person. So like in a harem show, right? And let's say it's a girl harem. There's one girl and a whole bunch of dudes in this harem. It's a dude harem, whatever you want to call it. But a lot of dudes, one girl. That girl isn't going to have a lot of character to her usually. It's going to be someone that every girl can identify with in some way. And then it's sort of like a harem combined and merged into one person. Whereas the harem itself is a bunch of separate individuals that are all really specific, and everyone's going to like one of them or maybe two of them, right? That are going to be sort of the ones. And then there might be one in the harem that has a wider appeal, and that's the one that you're actually going to get together with in the story at some point, right?
I think there's some characters that sort of fall between, like they're not, like they serve that purpose in the beginning but don't later. Like Toga in Utena, actually. In the beginning of the show, he seems like the only one who's got it together.
Yep.
And he knows more, he's secret, he's mysterious, he's badass, but then you learn about other people who know way more.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what makes Utena really good, but it's also something that, where they made a use out of that character. Instead of just having them there to be a character that people like, to set a contrast, to help the main character by giving them advice and stuff like that, they actually brought them into the plot and made a use out of them without them overpowering everything, right? And in Toga's case, it's like, yeah, he wasn't as badass as you thought, right? Bunta, if they would have brought Bunta into things, and made him race or something, it's like, well, that sort of ruins everything, right? Because he can't lose. There's not going to be any drama there if that happens, right? They would have had to bring Bunta down to give you doubt about Bunta's power, and you can't do that.
Every race, Itsuki, he's not going to win this time, God.
Yeah, the other possibility to bring everyone else up to Bunta's level, which is like, hell no, that's not going to happen.
That's Dragon Ball.
Maybe you can have Bunta versus Michael Schumacher or something. That might work, but otherwise, no. But it's like some animes, it's or mangas, it's hard to figure out, is there such a character? Or
most shows do not have these characters, I've realized. As an aside, I was looking for just like a giant list of anime that were popular, like top 100 list to scroll through just to kind of remind myself of, oh yeah, in that show there was that guy. So my only point is this. Pretty much every top X anime list on the internet is ridiculously bullshit.
No credit.
Here's one that's actually pretty popular. Fullmetal Alchemist is number 2 of all time. Elfen Lied is number 6.
Whoa, what?
Cowboy Bebop's number 5.
Why is it not number 1?
Cowboy Bebop also down at 37, but Naruto's at 35.
So Cowboy Bebop and Azumanga Daioh, two great shows that do not have such a character.
Most shows don't have these characters.
Yeah.
Escaflowne almost had one, Alan Shazar, but he's basically a toga.
He's not strong enough to be that guy.
Yeah.
Vaughn is the main character is actually the most powerful in that show and doesn't really have mentor action going on.
Yeah, you don't have the awesome side character, except for you have the old instructor in the beginning, but he dies.
Yeah, he's not an awesome
Spoilers,
badass.
I guess.
Whatever. In Evangelion, you could have someone.
Gendo?
No, I was what's his name? Kaji. He's sort of the right?
Kaji, Kaji is the Hughes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Again, look at the pattern. The characters that are the younger stereotype of the badass, or at least the favorite side character, are all a certain way. And then the old ones are another certain way. But there isn't an old one in Evangelion.
Mm-hmm.
There's just the Hughes.
Well, like in Star Wars, it's Yoda.
Or Boba Fett.
Or Boba Fett's the bad one.
Yeah, but at the same time, we said it had to be on the good guy's side. But is that really true? Because Star Wars... Maybe this explains this thing we're talking about, why Boba Fett appears briefly in Star Wars. He is barely part of Star Wars at all. And yet, when I was a kid and I saw Star Wars for the first time, and my friends all saw Star Wars, Boba Fett was all anyone could fucking talk about. Mm-hmm. Boba Fett, everyone was obsessed with Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
No matter how sure I am, I never risk the Fett.
Boba Fett. Risk the Fett, man.
So I think it's the same thing. There's something about that secondary badass character. And if I had to guess psychologically, I think it really just comes down to the mystery that you don't know their full deal. So you can kind of fill in way more than you can with even a main character. Because even in a harem show, a main character has some kind of plot and there's some sort of framework. But Boba Fett, you look at Boba Fett and you're like, what's that guy's deal? I don't know, but he's a badass. And you don't see him lose until you see him lose.
Mm-hmm. I think, you know who was another perfect example of this character? In Hajime no Ippo, right? There's, what's his name? Oh, the freaking... Takamura.
I have not seen a lot of that show.
Takamura, who's basically like the world champion guy. He's just incredibly, ridiculously powerful. He punches the bear.
Oh, the bear punching guy. I know who that is.
That is like the perfect example of ridiculously powerful, best character guy. He's sort of a mix between Bunta and from Sanctuary, Mr.
Tokai?
Yes. Sort of a combination of those two.
Sanctuary is a problem because
everyone is that guy.
Yeah, if you ignore the main characters, everyone is that guy, and the main characters are just better than them.
Yes.
The end. The good guys are that way. The bad guys are that way. Every character is that way. Every side character is that way, except for background normal people. Maybe that's why I like Sanctuary so much. Sanctuary is just a manga
it's written by
nothing but Boba Fett.
It's written by the same guy.
It's Boba Fett and Boba Fett fighting against Boba Fett. That's what that manga is.
Yep. It's written by the same guys who wrote Fist of the North Star, right? Which has the same situation, where everyone is a total badass.
It's all about Bronson.
That's right. Okay, anyway. Do you have anything else to say about this?
Well, I'm going through anime that I've watched, and they're not that common either, the more I really think about it. I mean, like Cowboy Bebop does not have a character like that, really.
Nope. I mean, what, the Native American guy?
Yeah, but he doesn't, because he's not bad. You don't see him
He has the sensei part, but not the badass part.
Yeah. There's a lot of characters that have an aspect of this, but these two kinds of badasses. There's the young badass who makes the impossible possible and probably dies, and you feel really bad because they're young and invincible. Mm-hmm. And then there's the old invincible.
Yep. Madoka doesn't really have such a character at all.
Not really. I mean, you could argue almost that Homura follows that purpose of the consummate badass, but the show is
partially.
The show is too good, and also notice how the best shows don't have characters that fall perfectly into all these stereotypes. Madoka has the trappings.
This is a character that you see in the formulaic, the anime formulas.
Yeah,
not
I mean,
in
El Hazard,
the
I like that show.
Animes.
El Hazard is a formulaic show. And in El Hazard, there is Fujisawa, who is that kind of character that we're talking about. Madoka is too complex. It has all the trappings of a formulaic show, but doesn't actually follow any of those formulas, and every character is a mold breaker in one way or another. Every single one of them.
How about Slayers?
Slayers. Not really.
Yeah, I mean, you can go with Rockface, dude, but not really.
Goddess?
Yeah, Lena's more powerful than he is, and he's not really a mentor or anything.
Plus, that's a show about a team of people. They're all basically the main characters, and the enemies are way more badass than them until the end, usually.
Yeah, what, Rezo?
Well, Rezo is my favorite villain ever.
And Trigon doesn't have such a character.
Though I think Wolfwood almost fits into the stereotype of the Hughes type
But
character.
he's not, but he's not
he's
as
a main
strong.
character.
He doesn't have that aspect of being so super powerful more than everyone else.
But he has the aspect that, notice how fans seem way more invested in Wolfwood and talk about him more than they talk about Vash.
Quite possibly, yes.
That's purely anecdotal, but that's what I've seen.
Mm-mm.
I mean, Monster doesn't really have anything like this.
No,
None of those
Monster
things.
is not that kind of formula. But 20th Century Boys does have, what's his face? The Shogun.
No.
Ocho the Shogun. He's basically the badass guy.
So whenever you're watching anime, just think about the characters that fit into that particular stereotype. The side character, the King Kazma, that's not super important to the plot. They're not the main movers and shakers, but they're there. They affect things. And everyone just seems to always be like, yeah, that's the best character. That's my favorite character. Everyone's always obsessed with the side character, even more so than the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And if they think that way, it's pretty much always Bunta or Boba Fett. This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.